Brightmoor Kids, welcome back to our series all about one of the most extreme heroes in the Bible, which is Joshua. We're learning about how Joshua lived for God to the extreme. I have a question for you. Have you ever played the game called I Spy? It's a game where you look at something in the room and say, I spy with my little eye something blue. Then you try to get the other players to guess what it is. How many of you have ever played this game before? A couple? Okay. Well, I know that we play it in Factory 1 sometimes here at Brightmoor. Well, today's lesson is all about a time when Joshua played his own game of I Spy. Well, sort of. He was sent to spy out the land that God had promised to the Israelites. First, let's check in with our extreme sports specialist, Band-Aid.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Band-Aid, and I'm your extreme sports specialist. And I'm here to continue our extreme series on Joshua. Let's do this. In today's lesson, we're gonna learn about a time in Joshua's life where he was a spy. That's right, a spy. Breaker 19, I'm on my way. I bet it was awesome being a spy. Could you imagine being a spy today? You could sneak around the house and figure out what your Christmas presents were before you even opened them. Or you could go in and find out all the little secrets about your little brothers and sisters. Man, I bet that would be cool. In your lesson today, you're gonna learn about the time where Joshua was one of the 12 spies sent by Moses to check out the Promised Land. Now, even though the Promised Land was full of cool stuff, most of them came back scared. You heard me right. Even though they were super cool spies, they came back full of fear. How about you? Are you afraid of anything? I have to be honest. There is one thing that I am super afraid of, and it is tiny, it is creepy, it is nasty, and it has got 8 legs. Any guesses? That's right, spiders. Whoa, that ain't cool, man. Don't be showing no pictures of spiders without telling me. I have arachnophobia. Now, that's just a big fancy word for a fear of spiders. Now, don't be doing that. Bro, I told you not to be doing that. I hate spiders. Okay, maybe I let my fears have too much control of me. But you know, kids are afraid of all sorts of stuff. Big dogs, loud noises, the dark. The thing is, we don't need to focus on our fears. We need to focus on God instead. When we focus on our fear, it just keeps getting bigger and bigger. But when we focus on God, we realize that He is bigger than all of our fears. And that's exactly what you're gonna learn about in your lesson today. I cannot wait for you to hear about Joshua and his friend Caleb and the incredible report they brought back from the Promised Land. Well, I better let you get into it, and I better jump on this bike and head off to my next stunt. My name is Band-Aid, and I'll see you next time when we learn an extreme lesson from Joshua.
Fear is something that can really affect us. When we are filled with fear, we are convinced that whatever we are facing is the biggest, scariest, worst thing ever. Whether that's sickness, a bully, or even the mean dog next door. In today's lesson, you're going to learn all about how Joshua and his friend Caleb had a completely different perspective than the rest of the spies that went into the Promised Land. You're going to learn some important principles about dealing with fear. Right now, it's time to find out what you gotta know.
What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know? What you gotta know?
Hey there, kids. I'm Big Ray, and I'm here to tell you what you gotta know. Today, we're learning that God is bigger than any enemy you could face. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them, God is bigger than anything.
Wait. You mean to tell me God is bigger than anything?
Yep.
What about Pluto?
Yep.
What about the Eiffel Tower?
Yep.
What about my great Aunt Medea's mustache?
Yeah, wait. She has a mustache? You know what? None of my business. Yes, God is bigger than anything. Most importantly, he's bigger than all your fears and all your problems. So every time today you hear somebody ask you what you gotta know, you tell them, God is bigger than anything. That right there is what you gotta know. I'm Big Ray, and I'll catch you on the flip side.
What you gotta know.
My name is Rooties, but nobody goes by Roo anymore, so you can just call me Artiste. Now, I am in the middle of a brand new painting, but it's time for me to take a break. So instead of painting right now, I thought you could help me with today's power verse. The problem is I sleepwalk at night, and last night I was painting today's power verse, and I started using pictures instead of words. So now I can't read it at all. I need your help to figure out what it says. Let's take a look at it together. Don't be screaming. Well, we probably shouldn't be screaming, but I don't think that's what that's supposed to say. Don't be frightened? Scared? What's another word for scared? Yes, afraid. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. X-Lady. What in the world? What is that supposed to be? No way, Jose. Perhaps don't. Yes. Don't be discouraged. Number? No, I don't think it's number. Well, what number is that? Of course, it's 4. For I am your God. Isaiah 41:10. Oh, that's it. I'm so glad you could help me. Now, let's make sure that we don't forget it. So, everyone stand up and let's say it all together on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:10. Great job, everyone. You can all have a seat. Now it's time for me to show you a new painting that's going in my exhibit, Art to the Extreme. I call this one Extreme Science Experiment. Da 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 da. Wow. Do you see the extreme colors, the extreme explosion happening? It feels like you're really there. I can't believe it. I think this might be my best piece yet. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for all your help on today's Powerverse. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Today's Bible story is found in Numbers 13 and 14. God had promised the people of Israel that he had some land that was going to be theirs. He told Moses to send 12 spies out into the land, 1 man from each tribe of Israel. Joshua was actually one of those spies. They were instructed to find out about the people in the land. Moses told the spies to find out if the people there were strong or weak. He actually told them to find out whether they lived in cities or camps, whether they're forest or not. Moses asked them to bring back some fruit to see if it was ripe so that he could see the fruit of the land. The 12 men went into the land and found out that the land was actually really good. They saw grapes that were so big it took 2 men to carry a cluster of them back. There were so many amazing things that they saw, including the people there. They were very big and very tall. When they returned to their camp after 40 days, the spies showed Moses the good fruit they had found in the land. 10 of the men began to tell about the giants and how fearful they were of them. They told of the large cities and the high walls that surrounded them. They said, "We cannot go into this land. We're like grasshoppers next to them, and that's what they look like. When the 10 spies struck fear into the hearts of the Israelites began to moan and complain. We wish we had died in Egypt. At least there we would have been taken care of while we were in captivity. Can you believe that? They actually allowed the bad report from the other 10 spies to make them get completely afraid. There were 2 spies who had quite a different perspective though. As you might have guessed, one of those spies was Joshua. The other one was named Caleb. Joshua and Caleb didn't whine and didn't complain or give in to the fear. Instead, they told Moses and the Israelites, "The land we explored is a wonderful land. The Lord will bring us safely into the land and give it to us. The Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them." Isn't that an awesome attitude to have? In your lesson today, you are going to learn about the attitude of Joshua and Caleb and how you can follow their example. You are going to learn that God is bigger than any fear you face.
Don't be afraid, for I am with you. Don't be discouraged, for I am your God. Isaiah 41:10.
Today, I want to teach you a big word: perspective. Perspective basically means a way of looking at things. 2 people can look at the same thing, but they can have 2 different perspectives. They actually could even describe what they are seeing in 2 completely different ways, depending on what they choose as their perspective. Take a look at this glass, for instance. One person could look at this glass and describe it as half empty. Their perspective isn't focused on what isn't there. Someone else could choose to have a much more positive perspective and say that this glass is half full. Technically, they're both right, but one of them is focused on the negative while the other is focused on the positive. Now here we have another example. Anyone know what this is? That's right, it's a rose. Now you could look at this and describe it as like, "Aw man, this thing has a long vine coming out of it and all of it's covered in thorns, and when you grab it, it stabs you and it hurts, and when you get one of those thorns in you, it's horrible." Well, certainly everything they said is true. There are thorns, and they can stick you. However, that person is totally focused on the negative parts of the rose. They are completely ignoring the beautiful flower at the top. They are choosing a negative perspective by focusing on the bad rather than the good. In our Bible story today, we will learn about the spies that were sent into Canaan to find out about the land and the people in the land. They found the land really was a good land. Remember the grapes that were so big that it took 2 men to carry a cluster of them on a pole between them? Those were some really big grapes. There was something else about the land. Do you remember what the 10 spies said about the people who lived there? They said, "We cannot go into this land. We felt like grasshoppers next to them, and that's what we look like to them." Boys and girls, these spies were falling into the trap of fear. Many times, this is a trap the devil wants to use on us, too. He wants us to become afraid. He knows that if we are afraid, we will worry about what will happen to us. Like these spies, it's easy for us to begin to focus on our problems. It's easy to have the negative perspective and focus on all of the things that seem bad. But you have to realize,
whatever you focus on grows. Those 10 spies were totally focused on the enemies of the land. They became so focused on those enemies that they started calling them giants. Not only that, they also began to see them as even bigger than what they really were. They said, "We felt just like grasshoppers next to them. That's what we looked like to them too." Now, I have a question. How did these spies know what the giants thought? They didn't go conducting interviews with the giants and say, "Do you think we look like grasshoppers to you?" The fact is, these 10 spies were focusing so much on the problems in the land that the problems seemed to be a lot bigger than they really were. We do that sometimes too. We focus on the fact that it's hard to make friends, and we say, "Nobody likes me at all. Everybody hates me." Or we focus on how it is hard to make good grades in math, and we say, "It's I'm totally dumb. I can't do anything. Whatever you focus on grows. So don't focus on your problems like those 10 spies did, because you know what else happens when you focus on the problems and fear.
Fear makes you want to give up. The Bible tells us that after the 10 spies gave their fear-filled report, the Israelites wanted to give up and go back to Egypt. If we allow fear to take over in our lives, we will most likely feel the same way. We won't want to obey God. We will want to quit. And that's not at all what God wants for us, though. So what should we do? We should follow the example of the other 2 spies, Joshua and Caleb. Joshua and Caleb didn't whine and complain and give in to their fear. Instead, they told Moses and the Israelites, "The land we explored is a wonderful land. The Lord will bring us safely into the land and give it to us. The Lord is with us. Don't be afraid of them." When you face big problems, do just like Joshua and Caleb.
Choose to focus on God's power instead of problems. It's true that our problems may be big, but our God is bigger. He is more powerful than our enemy, the devil. He is able to help us do anything and everything He has called us to do. So no matter what your problem may be today, sadness, school, family problems, a bad habit, whatever, don't focus on how big your problem is. Focus on how powerful God is. Choose the right perspective.
What is up? It is time for our rewind review questions. We have Danielle and Monique going head to head in this competition. Okay, first question. What you gotta know today?
God is bigger than anything.
That is correct.
Yeah!
1 point for Miss Danielle. Question number 2. What was the name of the land God had promised to the Israelites?
Canaan?
That is also correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 3. How many spies did Moses send into the land?
There were 12. 12 spies.
That is correct. Question number 4. How many of the spies came back with a bad report?
10 of them.
That is also correct. You guys are on fire, all right. Question number 5. What were the names of the 2 spies who came back with a good report?
I think was one Caleb
And Joshua?
Joshua.
Oh,
Joshua and is it Caleb? Caleb doesn't sound
No,
right. Now that
Caleb
I say
doesn't
it.
sound
It
right.
doesn't sound right
It's-
at all.
It's a C.
It's
You
a
got
C.
that right.
It's a
It's
C, though.
Wait, how about
I
you
think-
guys? Can you
It
help
is
us?
Joshua and Caleb, but that was a
Oh, okay.
You got half, you got half.
Okay,
Alright.
we
Look
helped
out
each
one
other.
at a time. All right, question number 6. According to our lesson today, whatever you on grows.
Focus. Whatever
is-
you
Yep.
focus on.
That is correct. Very good. All right. Question number 7. Fear makes you want to blank blank. 2 words.
Give up.
That is correct.
Okay. Yes.
Question number 8. According to our lesson today, choose to focus on God's instead of problems.
You repeat the question.
Oh, I think.
I can repeat the question. According to our lesson today, choose to focus on God's blank, 1 word, instead of problems.
You go first.
Promise.
I want to say strength or power or something like that.
You guys each get a half point because you said the first P kind of word and then you said power and among your answers. So
I did say power.
We'll count that
yeah.
one a tie.
Yeah, okay.
All right. Question number 9. True or false? God is bigger than any enemy we face.
He is bigger, so it is true. He is bigger than any enemy we face.
That is correct. And the question atop them all, where was our power verse found?
Isaiah 41:10.
That is correct. Woo! I think it came away as a tie, but thank you for playing along at home, and we will see you next week.
Excuse me. What you gotta know?
Hey, Brightmoor Kids, that concludes our online lesson for this week. I want to thank you so much for listening and watching it. I also want to encourage you that if you have any issues or any problems in your life that you think are too big for you to get over, don't worry, because we serve a big God that's bigger than our problems, and He is going to help us get through anything that we may have in our way. Thank you so much for joining us. We love you guys. We're praying for you, and hopefully we get to see you again soon.